Alrighty, hello everyone. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm super excited to be chatting with my good friend Pat. We haven't had a chance to catch up before, but I've seen you across the internet airwaves, doing other incredible content creation stuff in the tech and the IT world. But it's super good to finally catch up with you, Pat.
Likewise, dude. Thank you so much, John. Appreciate it, brother.
It's funny. We were bantering and riffing just a little bit back and forth, and then we hit the record button. It's like, all right, it's showtime. put on the presentation and the YouTube I don't know, voice.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So, yeah, it's awesome catching up. It'd be good to lovely to get to know you. Probably you have some questions for me. We can
Totally.
shoot back and forth. And yeah, so I guess who are you? Yeah, we know John Hammond all over the internet. We know your beautiful YouTube channel, and kudos for everything you do, dude. Like, I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Like, I learned so much from you, and obviously so many other creators. So cheers for that, mate.
Well, hey, thanks so much. It's really fulfilling. It The cheesy YouTube thing, hey, where folks might be listening in or catching this, it's it was always just a sort of something on the side, something extra fun to do. If you look back, you can honestly find videos of mine dating back to like what 2009 or 2011. So it's kind of wild to think like, oh man, it's been a decade chipping away at this. But it's slowly blossoms, sort of. I don't know. You get a little bit of a flower after you let the thing sit and catch some sunshine for 10 years. But hey, I don't know. Maybe there's some cool takeaways in there with, hey, it's not overnight success by any means.
1000%. And that's something like it's a slow moving process. If we're talking on that YouTube thing, because I've been doing it now for about a year and a half, almost two
Yeah.
years. I think December will be 2 years. And so why is it that you created YouTube? Like, what was the main motive 10 years ago? Like, what was your, like, okay, I want to start creating YouTube content. This is, and now here you are today, the main man on the internet.
Again, super flattered. Well, I feel like I learned a whole lot when I was getting started, and it was just hey, starting to fall into this whole thing that we either call tech or cybersecurity or any of the bubble. I would Google and I would search on YouTube, hey, how to program, hey, how to solve whatever problem I saw on my computer. I've got this weird pop up or whatever, and I'd always tend to see people just sharing that knowledge on YouTube. So while I was learning, I thought, okay. I've heard people say that one of the best ways to master something is to try and teach it yourself or try and present it to
Hmm.
others. And I don't know. I thought, okay, we'll give this a shot. It'll be, hey, silly and bad and maybe low quality to start. If you look back at even just like my cheesy Python tutorials, it's super bad code practice with like Hypercam 2 up in the corner or whatever. Uh, but that was really the motivating factor is like, all right, I'll dabble and play because if anything, it keeps me with it. It gives me more
Hmm.
reason to go, hey, let me keep practicing, let me keep learning more, and then I'll show what I think is cool to other people.
That's awesome, dude.
How
Yeah.
about you?
And that, likewise, like, literally, like, if you probably watched other videos, like from Kevin and whomever else, I was never a person on camera. I
Yeah.
like to be anonymous. I didn't like even LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. My thing was more, the less people knew me, the better,
Yeah.
right? So during the pandemic, like once like 2020 started, everyone went bananas with the COVID and all that stuff. So I got furloughed from the position I was at
Oh
that
no,
time.
goodness.
Y-
Okay.
Yeah. And so I got furloughed, and I was like, okay, I had friends like asking at that time. A couple of buddies were studying for the PCNSE.
Hmm.
We'll get into certifications, but that's for Palo Alto, right? So I was doing a big Palo Alto migration with Panorama, in all that world. So I was setting it up in VMware at my house and setting up the OVAs, etc. And a buddy of mine was like, "Hey man, can you just like put a video together because this thing is not working?" And he was trying to install it in VirtualBox, but it worked better within VMware Workstation. So obviously, I made a video. I uploaded it for the WhatsApp group that we were studying for, and then I'm like, same thing. I didn't know what I was doing. I barely even like, I didn't even, I still don't really know what I'm doing, to be 100% honest
Same.
with you. I just wing it. But then I just like uploaded it, and that was my first video, like how to install Palo Alto in VMware or something like that. And then I'm like, okay, like whatever. If John watches it, if Kevin watches it, if 3 people watch it, whatever, it made it to the people that mean something. If more people, so be it. I wasn't trying to be a YouTube star or like
Right, right.
making millions of dollars. Like I knew like that's not my, still till today, like whatever. I have like 18,000 versus your whatever 400 something thousand. He's probably like, "Yeah, but that's awesome, dude." Like I said, like you said just a few seconds ago about watering the plants, right?
Yeah.
And just let it simmer and it grows. It's not going to be overnight. And like I remember when I had only 1,000, and hitting that 1,000 felt like it was ages. It's like 9 months or 10 months, and then it started growing after that. Now it's like 2 years, so it's like about what, almost 10,000 a year. So if it's going, and yeah, that was my motive behind it, like just doing little tutorials. And then I started doing, like in the beginning, I was doing like, okay, like setting up the Wi-Fi pineapple, how to hack Wi-Fi, because
Nice.
that was something I really, really enjoyed. Till today too, like that's my bread and butter. I love that. And yeah, that's what got me on the YouTube thing.
I love it. You had one super cool sentiment in there that I hear from a lot of really great people, and I think it's the right approach or the right mentality. It's like, hey, I don't care how many people end up seeing this thing. It doesn't, like, the numbers or whatever. Hey, bigger number, better person crap doesn't matter. It's like
Hmm.
if one person sees it and it helps them, that's a win. Like, that's the success. Hey, I get fulfillment in it. I'm at least contributing or adding value to someone. Like, I have
Hmm.
made some
Exactly.
difference in some way, and I don't know. That's the good stuff.
It's super, super fulfilling to me too. Like, and then like I started putting, because my background, I'll ask you for yours, but like my background comes from networking and system engineering.
Yeah.
Like I got into the Microsoft world, the Citrix world, the VMware world, and all that stuff. And then I moved over to the cyber world on accident. So like the reason, like if you've seen other videos, like I actually got my PayPal hacked.
Oh goodness.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I used to sell Jordans. I used to sell sneakers on eBay
Mm.
in my mid 20s. That tells you how old I am. In my mid 20s, like I would buy a pair of sneakers and then throw it on eBay. And say if I bought them for $200, I'll wait. I'll hold on to them for a month, and I'll sell them for $1,000 or $800. It was like a little business for me.
Nice.
And I was one of those silly people that got fished, right?
Mm.
So I got fished. I got like about $900 withdrawn out of
Oh
my
no.
PayPal. And I was studying information systems at that time in undergrad.
Mm.
And and then I went to my counselor, I think the next day or a couple days later, and I was like, I want to learn how to steal. I didn't know what it was. I'm like, I want to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
And then they said, okay, there's something called ethical hacking. And and then I got into that world. I didn't transition to it until a few years ago, like more into this as a cybersecurity person. It was more like I'm still a network engineer, but I have a few of the acronyms behind my name as from the cybersecurity world. But yeah.
I think it's awesome because I will be the first to admit, when I hear a whole lot of I'll say more traditional in air quotes, because hey, it's not always one straight or guided path to how one kind of breaks into an industry or a corner of the industry. But when I chat with a lot of those other folks, either it's the networking upbringing, or it's the help desk upbringing, or it's systems and administration. Uh, Look, I'll fall on my sword. I didn't get a whole lot of that, hey, getting into this and within that field. So I am super duper envious, honestly, of a lot of the folks that, like, yeah, I was cutting through Cisco and Palo Alto and whatever pfSense networking, and like, oh, I've got whole lot of the traditional help desk backbone, because like that's a weak spot for me, and I'll be the first to admit it, because orchestrating and keeping up in the building and, I don't know, maintenance of an environment, of a network, it's still a gap for me, and it's something that I want to learn and get better at, but I'm super duper jealous in a certain way.
No, dude, and likewise, right? And the feeling's mutual because I think everyone has that enviness of someone,
Oh,
right?
totally.
Like, I wish I knew how to program. Like, that's not something I know how to do very well. Like, yeah, I can break some stuff, I can Google some stuff, I can watch John do some cool stuff and do a few things, but I always, probably you can vouch for this too, like maybe you always tailor to like, okay, programming, Python, Go, doing these
Yeah.
applications and getting into the nitty-gritty of malware analysis and doing like, it's a bummer that what happened to you a couple of weeks ago, nearly a month ago, right? Someone tried to do something to you, right? And that's bananas in my mind. But if you didn't know what you knew, you wouldn't have known how to address it and how to do your, let's see who this sneaky little guy is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if you don't know that, DFIR, those kind of things like digital forensics, incident response type stuff, and like go deeper into that, yeah, they whack the files really quick because like, okay, here he goes, but thank God you got him in time. So, and that was awesome because I seen what you did with that. I seen that obviously when you posted on your channel, when you did some stuff with Chuck, and like I'm still like weirded out. Like, why would they like go after you? Like, I don't know.
Well, hey, I think it's kind of cool to tie together with what you were discussing about, hey, your PayPal phishing and how that,
Mhm.
brought about whatever trouble that did. But it, the general takeaway and what I wanted to share and try to distribute, hey, that awareness and education was like, look, it can happen to anyone. There
Mhm.
is no one that is immune. There's no one that is not susceptible, because a handful, a hefty handful, a heck of a lot of whatever hackers, adversaries, threat actors, whatever you want to call them. it- It's not a it's not always a targeted attack, right? You hear it in
Mhm.
the news and the headlines and reporters and journalists are like, oh, who is the target of this malicious activity? It's like, no, there's no target. It's a spray and pray. They cast a wide
Mhm.
net because if someone is deceived, one poor innocent fella, and it can happen to anyone because we all make mistakes.
Done.
Despite how much education or learning we might have, however much training, it's it's kind of crazy. But I hope that was a little bit of the takeaway that I could offer there. Like, hey, it can reach anyone and anyone's susceptible to it, and the hackers are just blasting it out across the internet.
Mhm. And one thing that you said that day that stuck with me, it's like, okay, John nearly clicked on it, but if he didn't take that
Yeah,
second look, he would have been, he would have been SOL. You
oh
know what
yeah,
I mean?
yep,
And then, because I believe you said you were at supper that night or something like that,
yeah, I was out and
and you just
about.
look at your screen and it looks like something super like, oh, what the heck?
Yeah.
I just uploaded this. This is a bummer, and blah blah blah. But thank God you took that extra look and that extra precaution. It's like, okay, all right, this looks weird,
Hmm.
you know. But kudos for that catch, dude. Like, and putting it on Twitter, like you said, that's what probably made you go viral on Twitter, right? That was probably your most uh, hit things. But yeah, I guess like we can revisit some questions. Like, I got some questions for you because
Totally, yeah, man. Let's dive in.
like obviously we all know who you are. I'm not going to ask like where you're from. You're from the U.S., right?
Totally.
So what do you do? Like, we know what you do, but what do you do in your words? Like, what do you on a day to day besides YouTube? Like, what is your bread and butter? Like, pays the bills type deal.
Ooh, okay. So the boring answer is, hey, I work at a company called Huntress. I'm a security researcher there, and a little bit of twofold. I'm wearing, I guess, dual hats, with technical on the keyboard work, where I get to help out analysts if it is, hey, deobfuscating malware or debugging or troubleshooting something, or adding to our product, our service, the features and functionality that we offer. And that's the fun stuff. Hey, that's where I get to be a nerd. That's where I get to be a geek. Mixed in with that and a little bit of a blend is sort of honestly there's I don't like the title or the term, but I think there's no really good way to encapsulate. It's sort of an evangelist position where, hey,
Hmm.
you're talking about, hey, this is the cool stuff that we get to do. We're shining the spotlight on a lot of our success and bringing education and outreach and, I don't know, public training and education. Again, a whole lot of the awareness that I like to drive on. So talking to reporters, getting on stage for a presentation or keynote or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, uh, I tend to say, hey, I jump on the grenade for all the marketing asks, but it's
Yeah.
very fulfilling and hey, it works well and I don't know, blends together with what I end up doing on YouTube. So kind of a cool, honestly, great gig, best of both worlds.
That's awesome. And I do have a question that I've been wanting to ask.
Yeah.
Like, you have a lot of offensive security certifications under your belt, right? A lot of
Mhm.
acronyms. Why aren't you a pen tester?
Yeah. Great question. So my career, and I know no one really cares, so I'll be super duper quick. But I my first gig was surprisingly, hey, going to jump in and be an instructor and a teacher with what is the Department of Defense like cyber training academy and teaching military members and government folks how to hack, how to be on a keyboard, how to be an operator, and that was super duper cool, a lot of fun. But it's it's teaching. It's standing on the podium for 8 hours, pointing at the slide, trying to juggle and keep folks entertained and awake.
Yeah.
So it got a little bit old eventually, and I thought, hey, I want to go do this for real. Go be an operator. Go do something on keyboard. So I had a red team operator gig, but there was a lot of red tape and slow moving policies and procedures that we just couldn't act. We couldn't do anything, and we were just kind of sitting on our thumbs. So it's like, all right, I'm going to bounce out of this. um, Huntress had reached out. My current role, they said, "Hey, John, you know, we had a lot of success here with the recent seed round. We're looking to see what we can do to keep moving and shaking. Do you want to come join the party?" Um, and it's I thought, yeah, man, let's do it. That sounds like a ton of fun. It is honestly a quote unquote blue team role, not so much red team and pen testing and hacking and all the stuff that I'm more opt to showcase. But I think it
Hmm.
works really, really well because hey, we like to say like we can be better defenders because we know and understand the threat actors. We know the offense, we know the adversaries and how they do what they do. So that is really, I don't know, uh, how I kind of try to blend. Yeah, like yeah, I got these silly shenanigans with offensive security certs, but I'm up with the defenders and the instant responders.
No, and that's sick. So as far as like you said, the silly certifications, and I talk like that too, because what was the most difficult one that you have taken, in your opinion? Like which one's like the most difficult and why?
um so I took the offensive security web expert course, which is OSWE, and it's part of their advanced web exploitation or AWE training. And it's interesting as the assortment of other offensive security or OffSec certifications because it changes the perspective of being not normally like a black box pen test or beating up and trying to find vulnerabilities and exploiting things like you might in OSCP or in hey
Hmm.
XYZ whatever certification or training that you'd like to insert in there. Uh,
Hmm.
OSWE is white box or and again hey it's just displaying or showcasing all of the source code for the application in front of you and then you have to find like a needle in the haystack tracing through all of the logic of these gigabytes of an application to go
Hmm.
see where is there a flaw, where is there some bug that I might be able to take advantage of, and that took a long time. And it was really really anxiety inducing. It's like I'm gonna run out of time, I'm not gonna get this, I need to sleep, my brain's fried. uh,
Hmm.
so that one I think certainly gave me the most stress and was the most difficult because it's a different thought process.
Hmm. Oh, cool. Thanks for sharing that. That's
Yeah,
good. That's good stuff.
sorry, I hope I wasn't rambling too much, but
No, 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 no. Those are good because obviously, you can check him out on LinkedIn. You can see all the acronyms behind his name and go through your thing. Because I'm not gonna say, okay, what certifications do you have? Because I hate that question,
oh same.
right? Like, I don't like that question because I don't want to sit here thinking like I'm the man because I have XYZ behind my name. Like,
Hmm.
I'm a firm believer. Like, certification, I want to get your take on,
Oh
okay, I
yeah,
guess I'll ask you now, like, what is your take on certifications? If it's, we'll talk about offensive security or security in this case, but what is your take on them? Like, I don't have zero. I have zero today. I'm talking to you, John, like, to get in that first job as a whatever, blue team, red team equals purple team, whatever you're doing.
sure.
Like,
So truthfully, I tend to slot a lot of the rationale and reasoning for certifications and industry training into kind of buckets of tiers of your own career and your vocation and
mhm,
your happiness in all reality.
uh,
Like if you're breaking into the industry, I really advocate for folks and I suggest like, hey, go take a look. Maybe it's worth grabbing a certification or jumping in because it can be a foot in the door. It can really help
mhm,
slapping, hey, some other scratch and sniff sticker on your resume. And at that point, honestly, it's cheaper than a university or college or school degree. It is faster. You're getting better investment in literally both time and money because hey, you can crank it
mhm.
out in a couple months rather than 4 years or more. So it just seems like a win-win. I think like try it out. It could actually really help getting past the HR filter. Uh, so in the intermediary slot and a tier above that, I think go for certifications because they're fun. Because hey, you want to learn more. Like, hey, I'm just super
Mhm.
interested. I was all about classic penetration testing, firing up responder and breaking into Active Directory. But hey, now I want to go learn how to do kernel exploits and hardcore binary exploitation, reverse engineering,
Mhm.
ninja stuff.
Yep.
That's just for fun. That's just for like, hey, I want to get better. I want to be a more seasoned and well-rounded security professional. Slot number three, and this is totally just hey, you're feeling pretty good. You landed the job that you wanted. You're content. You're happy. You don't need any other or more certifications. It's like uh, my job doesn't like require them. It's just
Mhm.
cool. You go for it if you want. You don't have to if you don't want to. And I don't know. You might find a gradient in all of those, or where anyone listening in might kind of put themselves in that racket. But it's totally your decision and their call what they're going after.
Totally. And I agree. I agree. Like, a little philosophy behind about my certs
Yeah.
and why I did them is, say for an example, I want to speak more on the systems and networking because I'm really I'm more proficient with that, to be quite frank. So for
Absolutely.
an example, I got put on a VMware project, right? We have
Cool.
to install ESXi, we have to do vCenter, understand, fiber switching, stuff like that. So if I'm going to learn all this, right, I'm going to learn all this for company A, why not go get the training and get the VCP, DC, DVE, or whatever, DCV, data
Mhm.
center virtualization, right? And that's for the VMware certified professional. Or if I'm doing AWS, why not go take the AWS cert? So that was more of my like why I took certs, and like, and there's some certifications I don't put out there. Like I just, like I was saying to you before, like PCNSE, like do that with a group of friends. If I'm not working with Palo Alto every day, I'm not going to throw something out there like, you can't query SQL on my resume, because if I can't talk about SQL and SQL math and like really deep,
Yeah,
I'd rather say I don't know it. That's
totally.
just me, right? Like if you're talking about like loops and stuff like that in Python, like I can't really talk to that level. So I'm like, oh, Python is out of the picture, Yeah, I could go on GitHub and download it and do some PyCharm and some modifications, but I can't do it from scratch, right? Like that's me speaking the truth, right? But so what certifications next on your horizon? Do you have one?
Mm.
Something that you want to work on and achieve?
So I honestly attended Black Hat. So Black Hat USA, one of the hey, super cool hacker summer camp events and conferences over in Las Vegas, alongside like B-Sides Las Vegas and DEF CON. And this was the first time I got to attend one of the infamous Black Hat trainings. That
Mm,
was previously canceled and postponed, hey, because COVID was running around. And I was taking the offensive security, so forgive me, but offensive security exploitation expert, or their advanced Windows exploitation one, which is all about that low level hey, what does a rootkit look like? What are kernel exploits? Can you break out of a browser sandbox, or can you even escape out of a virtual machine? So it's crazy. It is mind bending, but it's not something that I'm honestly all that good at. It's not my forte. It's something that I wanted to learn and get better at, and just understand how a lot of those techniques work. Um, so I'm nervous for that sort of thing, but I'll hope to be kind of running and gunning, hopefully chasing down that cert at the start of the new year.
Sweet. And good luck to that journey, dude.
Thank you.
You
How
got
about you?
this.
Anything on your horizon?
To be honest, I really want to attempt the PMPT
Nice.
from
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
TCM. I really want to give that a go. Like I did the OSCP many years ago, 2018. And either it's the new OSCP, the reason being is because, with the Active Directory, they changed that. I think in January of this year,
Yep.
they added AD to the component. And the PMPT is something I really want to do.
Cool.
That's in you have it, right? Like, so what is your
I
take
do.
on that?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. I did go for the PNPT because the practical network penetration tester that the Cyber Mentor offers with TCM security. Um, honestly, I wanted to go look at it because a whole lot of folks and a lot of individuals would be asking, "Hey, what is this thing? Is it worth it? Should I go after it? Is it, how does it compare to others in the
Mhm.
mass array and assortment of industry training?" Um, it is Active Directory focus. It is in a quote unquote real world environment where you're going against a simulated company and organization. And I will say that it relies on, or your methodology as the penetration tester relies on a lot of natural human misconfigurations and mistakes and weaknesses. So think about reuse passwords, or think about, oh, we're storing something like, oh, we're just told the browser, remember my credentials or keep me logged in for next time. Like, okay, you might be able to go extract that as the adversary. So it's definitely taking advantage of the more realistic, in all reality, gaps and issues that you might find in a company or business, because people, they're the most vulnerable thing.
No, facts. And that leads into the next question. Like, like the offensive security stuff is like very, I don't know how it is now, but like the CTF, right?
Mhm.
Like, okay, like it's like a CTF mindset. And I know you're massive on that. And obviously the PMPT is not very, from what I read from other people that took it, like it's not, it has nothing to do, like if you have that mindset of the CTF mindset, you're gonna get a little, like you're gonna hit a brick wall.
Yeah.
Is that true?
I think it depends on who you ask, truthfully. Maybe I have a different opinion than most, but I think it can be a little bit subjective. Because
Mm-hmm.
when I think of CTF, when I think of capture the flag, I think of a simulated training environment that can exercise and test your competency and merits and
Mm-hmm.
troubleshooting and debugging and live learning and persistence and determination to go find the solution to a problem. I think
Mm-hmm.
there is a very much uh, poisoned or distorted perspective on CTF, with a negative connotation that thinks, you need to find some guessy, hey, leap of faith, not super clear or extremely esoteric and obscure roundabout way of doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree, when those are present, it's frustrating and it's a bummer. Um, but I think, and I'll be the first to say it, maybe I'll catch some heat for this. I think there is a CTFE aspect in PNPT. One roadblock. There is uh one transition point where you're like, wait a second. I, it took me a little bit too long to think about that. And that felt like a CTF in the right way, in the
Gotcha.
good way, personally.
Yeah, obviously you can't divulge too much because, yeah, but no, that's pretty good. That's good stuff. Awesome. That's good. So what else? What else is popping in
Well,
John's world?
hey, honestly, I am running around staying busy. I have been fortunate. Hey, we got to go to B-Sides Nova, which was another local security conference around close by where I'm at. Um, I've got another event and conference and thing next week, and then traveling for the another one the week after that. And oh, we got Wild West Hacking Fest coming up, and I'm super duper thankful, very very blessed to help offer the closing keynote there. Uh, so it's kind of just a balance. It's kind of keeping up with content, keeping up with the day job, keeping up with all these other things that are knocking at the door. But it's fun and keeps me busy, keeping my head above water.
Yeah. And I do have a question that just popped in my head.
Totally.
So you come from more of like a programming background, right?
Yep.
Versus like a network infrastructure. So how have you learned, if you really have never been like a sysadmin, system engineer, how have you closed that gap as much as you have? Like, for example, this Active Directory stuff, right? If you don't
Mhm.
understand what an SPN is, or these AD attributes or something like that, like how have you been able to close some of that network and system engineering stuff or gap?
Hmm. So two answers. I think the boring answer is, oh, the grit, the determination, the persistence, the studying, the long nights, the just wanting to learn and being in
Hmm.
the trenches doing the grunt work. I think the
Hmm.
better answer that is seriously the more valuable one is networking. It's collaborating. It's chatting with people and peers and colleagues and trying to understand and pick their brain. It's like, whoa, you just did something super cool. Can you explain what that was, or can you show me more about that? And with that, it takes a little bit of like transparency and humility and being like, look, I don't know. I don't know this thing. Can you help me learn? Can you teach me? Um, but I think that absolutely fills in the gaps. If you get to a chicken and the egg problem there, because someone listening in might say, "Well, I don't have those peers because I haven't broken into the job yet.
Hmm.
I can't shoulder surf my coworkers if I don't have coworkers yet." Um, my best advice, if I could, for that is get yourself out there. The networking, the collaboration, that is how you can promote and showcase your portfolio, your work, your resume, your GitHub. Uh, be present at some of those cheesy conferences or even in Discord servers. I know it's weird. Like,
Hmm.
hey, I'm in a Slack group or I'm a moderator in a Discord server, but there are
Yeah.
boundless opportunities that come together when you just get to be present and chat with new people.
No, and I agree. So I actually had someone, like I have a little excuse me, like I have a little Discord channel that people reach out.
Yeah.
So what is your advice to say, okay, I messaged person A, but person A never wrote back because person A, or I have someone that reached out to someone, I'm not going to say their name, but they
Mhm.
actually had an auto response on their LinkedIn saying, you have to pay to talk to me.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, "Nah, dude, you're lying.
Yeah, that's a turn
You're
off.
you're fibbing right now." And he showed me. It said like you had to pay to have a conversation with this person. I'm like, all right, that's weird. But so what is your advice for that? Because I'm always
Mm,
open like to talk to whomever. Like,
yeah, and I try to be. I try to be as accessible as I can. I don't think I've ever asked people to pay to talk to me, but I have been super transparent. Be like, I'm super sorry. It might take me a week or two to get back to you.
thousand
uh,
percent.
yeah. Um, to get to your actual question, this is a bad answer, but I think it's you got to let that one go. You got to hey go move on to someone or something else that if they're not going to be responsive or receptive, then there's not a whole lot you can do because
Yeah.
it's on them in full transparency, in painful truth. But if you keep grinding, if you keep putting out great work, you'll get maybe even them to notice you, or they'll want to strike up a conversation of their own, or you can find someone else who might have an in with that person A. Uh, just continue, just keep moving on.
Yeah.
Don't get yourself all bogged down because hey, I'm not getting the response that I was hoping for.
Hmm. And on the flip side of that, this is something I fought this
Mm,
3 years ago. Being scared or nervous to reach out to someone because you think
yeah.
they're too big or they're too quote unquote famous or I'm a nobody and they're someone, right?
Hmm.
And I was like that because, like, not that I'm a nobody. I don't think I'm a nobody in anywhere. Like, I'm on this planet for a reason. But like reaching out, like I didn't have that internet presence. No one knew who Patrick Bowman was. You know what I mean? Like no one knew who I was. And someone that where, like I said, I come from the network system background.
For
So
sure.
how I got where I was because of someone. And that someone, his name is Keith Barker, right? He's from CBT Nuggets.
Yeah.
And literally, like, I would watch every single video on CBT Nuggets. I submitted, you know, I I have a subscription there. Like I always love CBT Nuggets. And I'm like, I want to talk to this guy, right? Like I just want to have a
Heck yeah.
conversation with this guy. And if Keith, if you're watching this, cheers, man. Literally, like I just reached out to him and no less, I think in like 15 minutes, he just sent me his phone number.
Nice.
And now I can call the dude my friend. Like I
Heck
went to
yeah.
his house. You know, like this is my buddy now. And it's like if you never take that step, like John was saying, scratch that one person. That person, if they don't recognize you, they think you're a quote unquote nobody. You know, low on the totem pole. Like there's going to be someone that is going to recognize you and value you, and you know, you can bring something to someone's life. Maybe if it's not cybersecurity or something like that, maybe you can be a shoulder to lean on when they're in need or something like that. So don't ever like, and don't always reach out to someone because you need something. And the way you convey a message, obviously the way you write that message, don't make it seem like, oh, hey, John, I really enjoy your content. I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me? Question mark. No, dude, who are you? Like, that's the way I would say, like, okay, like get to know me a little bit, understand, like, and then versus like trying to like come at me so hard. At least that's my opinion. But you know, like I said, I made an awesome friendship with someone that I watched for 10 plus years, and I never even seen what the guy looked like, right? Because the old CBT Nuggets, there was no face, right? It was
Yeah.
just videos. I don't know if you ever watched it or anyone else ever watched CBT Nuggets, but yeah. And then now I can call the guy my buddy. You know what I mean? So
That's
never
awesome.
know who can come into your life and you know and give you an opportunity just to chat with. You know, so that's something.
I would emphasize one of those points in there if I could. It's like, hey, don't be afraid to ask. Like
Mhm.
leave that, I don't know, that hesitation, that doubt, that suspicion, that don't be scared to just ask the question and reach out. I absolutely know I've tried to reach out to some quote unquote larger, you know, infamous and famous whatever celebrities, and yeah, I sometimes hadn't gotten a response because hey, they're busy. Maybe they don't even look at that platform. They've got 1,000 other things biding at their time. Uh, but you don't know unless you ask, unless you try and reach out. 1,000%.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, that was, you know, I don't know, I'm not sure, like, I don't want to take too much of your time. You know, there was some of those questions, like I said, like, okay, you come from a programming background. How did you fill in some of those gaps with the Windows? And let's see. Yeah, you know, oh, I guess like studying, like, how do you
Yeah.
go about studying? Like, you study,
Mm.
are you a book person, a video person? Like, I know everyone has to lab it up, but like, how do you learn? Like, what is John's methodology of learning?
So personally, and this is totally just a John answer, I am very much video first, or like demonstration, like visual. Hey, show it to me. I want to see the process in action, and then I want to go play with it, and then I want to go do it. I want to learn by doing. So when I'm trying to learn something new, I'll admit, like, hey, I go look up, can I have a tutorial on putting together a Vagrant virtual environment or something, whatever.
Mhm.
And then I'll go play with it. But I'll want and I'll look for that getting started guide before I dive into the documentation and read however thousand many pages, because I can't hold my attention for that long. Like I need, can I get something to get me running? And sweet. And then I'll go play and I'll fall down rabbit holes and I'll go dig myself out once I learn better. Uh, Maybe that's not the best approach, but I really like, hey, show me a video, let me see it in action, and then let me go play with it myself. How about you?
Same. Like, that's why I was like, I was a big big fan of CBT nuggets, right?
Yeah.
And like, I love that. Okay, we can watch a video, whatever. If it's a Cisco, we can learn about GNS3 or EVE-NG. These are simulated environments for networking. And, or, back then it was like Packet Tracer because it's free 99. It's super easy. So like, how do you configure EIGRP? How do you configure BGP or whatever? It's like, yeah, we can do all the, fancy show IP route, config T, IP route, BGP, blah, blah, blah. But like having that like demonstration instead of like going digging through like a million pages inside of Cisco's press book,
Yeah.
like
Textbook.
yeah. And like I'm not a big reader. I don't like to go read 1,000 pages of content or some content just to figure out if it's just like a single command. And some people like overcomplicate things, and that's what, like, at least when I'm doing my videos or whatever, if it's a Windows Server thing, like I try to convey and try to show it the way I'm going to learn it. That's the way I do it. I don't know
Totally.
if that's like that's just what I do. If I learn this way, and this is how I did it when I was a sysadmin, this is how I want to show it because this is the way I know it.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. Like, I guess the last question. I got two last questions. Like,
Sweet.
what is your goal with your channel? Like, we're on YouTube. You're on YouTube. What is your ultimate goal with your John Hammond channel?
I have to think long and hard about this one because I don't have a good answer off rip. Uh, I
Mm-hmm.
occasionally tell myself, so I go back and forth with this. I'm sorry, this is totally ambivalent. Uh, I've liked and I've wanted to make the YouTube channel something that I can continue to pursue and enjoy and love once my day job, once Huntress crosses the finish line or we take the exit ramp or whatever we do.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, then I'll go all in on creating, and then I'll go all in on training. I'll get other educational exercises and CTFs out and about. And I don't know, I'll make that all my passion and all my time. Uh, that is cool. That's exciting. At the same time, a part of me wonders, like, I really like being part of the industry because I can show folks and show people things that are like real and current and what's actually happening. And I'm not distant or far and away from it. I know a whole lot of the other full-time content creators have that sort of fear and that I don't live with this every day. Uh, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if I don't know if I'll go all in. I've had
Yeah.
a thought.
No.
Sorry, please.
No. 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 That's so true because there's folks out there that, okay, like, I'm a full-time YouTuber, I'm a full-time whatever content creator.
Yeah,
I can teach this stuff, but when you bring them outside of their lab environment, they're lost.
right.
And it's like, just because the IPs don't say 192, 168, that 199, now it says 172 or 10. Oh man, I have no idea what I'm doing now.
Yeah,
Oh, because they're so like programmed like a robot. Like, okay, like this is my environment, this is my home lab, this is my setup. This is something that I always use because I have it embedded in my head. But if they see something different, they're lost.
yeah.
And so yeah, that's
I've had a thought before, like, man, I would love to make the John Hammond YouTube channel like the one-stop shop for everything to learn in cybersecurity, or at least get started and approach it. And I thought that was, oh man, that's such a cool, exciting, like pie in the sky thing. But the more I think about it, it's just impossible. There's just so much stuff, and it it's overwhelming, and it's like, man, I don't, there's no way I could do all of that. But I
and
hope it's still approachable, and I hope it's still inviting, and raising awareness and getting education out there. That's the best I can hope for.
no, totally. And I know I said that was the last thing, but I guess the last thing is, do you have something planned to like do a course, do like something, for an example, I don't want to say go make your own certification, but you
Mhm.
have a massive extent of knowledge, and like you have that in your playing cards, like, okay, like John wants to do, a penetration testing, or a malware analysis or whatever you want to do, like whatever you feel like your niche is that you can. Have you thought about that?
Uh, So yes, truthfully, I have thought about it, uh, and it's exciting, it's enticing. That sounds like an attractive thing. The perfectionist in me, the like, I want it to be the best that it can be, and
Hmm.
then well, okay, then it's going to take me forever to create and build this thing. And I'm already maybe a little bit strapped for time as it is. So I don't know
Hmm.
when that will come to fruition. If it does, uh, I just want to do it in the right way. I want to, if I were to ever execute on like, hey, buy my course, and I'm like dancing around like a shill, I don't want to do that, you know? Here's my discount code. Go use sign up whatever to get a free, and it's like I want to keep a little bit of dignity in it. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's a tightrope for me, but the capture the flag environment for the hands-on training and for exercises and
Hmm.
activities, I do see a whole lot of runway in that, truthfully. Um, there we've been hosting events and competitions, and it's cool to get those on
Hmm.
contract. We get a little bit of compensation and love for that hard work. But wouldn't it be super cool? Wouldn't if we hey, you got your try hack me's, you got your hack the boxes, you've got your root me, your ring zero. There's tons of these, but we could maybe add something else to the table. I don't know. Those are things that I'm bumping around. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
rambling.
No, and that's good because I think we talked about this offline. There's
Yeah,
someone that's close to me, like that lives near me. I'm not going to divulge his name, but
for
he
sure.
has something on the horizon as well. You know, so that's super cool. And there's like someone else that's out there trying to do the good in the cyber world and in the pen testing world, etc. So yeah, I do. I have many questions.
No, man,
Every
let's keep
time
it
I
going.
think, like I think we talked about this before we went on air or whatever.
Mhm.
So, and I'm the first to say I'm very very transparent. Like when I'm talking to other people, if we're talking, and I say, you know, there's some people that are younger than me, older than me. What is your take on like, okay, for an example, do you believe if someone has more years of experience than someone, right? And
Yeah,
then you have someone that maybe has 2 years. Like, say, I want to use this. Person A only has 2 years of experience. They have XYZ behind their name, acronyms, certifications, OSCP, PMPT, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then you have someone with 15 years experience with maybe 2, 3 certifications under their belt. Who would you hire and why? And the reason why I want to say that because I know folks that have 3 to 5 years experience that'll run circles around someone that has 50 years experience. So I want to see your take on that. And then
yeah.
I'll shut up.
No, no,
I
no.
swear.
So I'm super duper glad you asked this because it's one that I really like and I think is extremely valuable for a lot of those, beginner folks or those individuals that want to get into the industry because they have that fear and they have that doubt. Like, I don't have my years of experience. I'm green. How do I break in? Um, I've always tried to, been a champion and Titan and explain and advocate for like you're doing your own hard work, you're putting in the late nights of self study, you're on these online war games, you're doing these things left and right for your own personal projects, and that is your golden ticket. Like when you're putting together your resume, when you're putting together the job interview and everything that you need. I've had someone, a great mentor in my own life, tell me like, in all reality, you've had a progressive year 10 years of experience, and like the keyword progressive there, because your experience, you
Mhm.
have to keep in mind, sure, you might have had 1 year of experience, but that 1 year of experience is from not only 9 to 5, but adding in the late night hours, going from 5 to 10 at night, 11 at night, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning.
Mhm.
So multiply and fan that out because you've got, hey, sure, your competitor, the 15-year experienced Joe Schmo,
Mhm.
who sits in his cubicle with his feet up on the desk, just waiting for the
Mhm.
clock to strike so he can check out. The dude's
Mhm.
taking a 3 hour lunch. Hey, he's checking his phone, not getting the work done. Like, you can be the rock star because you're putting in everything that you need to be. And that truthfully, sorry, I'm on my soapbox, but I think that's the best weapon when you get to the interview and you get to say like, look, this might be 1 or 2 years of experience, but you're not counting the extra hours and the extra years in all reality that have come from my due diligence.
No, totally. And I love that because I've gotten that question like many times, like, oh, I only have 1 year or 2 years experience in IT or whatever.
Yeah.
I was working at a SOC for a year and this, that, and the other. But like I said, like I know folks that have, like you said, a year, 2 years hardcore from 9 in the morning to 10, 11 o'clock at night, sometimes even in the middle of the night. Like I got texts from a few people. It's like I'm stuck. I'm like I wake up at 7 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning. I'm like 3 in the morning. What are you doing up? Go to bed. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? But like getting, whatever, if it's a hack the box or whatever it is that they're banging their head on. And at least with me, like if you're banging your head on a hack the box or a try hack, whatever the case may be, don't feel like you're Bobo because you went to go look at a walkthrough.
oh,
I look at walkthroughs. Like
me
if
too.
I get stuck, I'm the first one to jump on that thing. You know what I mean? Like if I get stuck, I'm like, okay, I'll just, a walkthrough is not saying you're cheating or not saying you're dumb. It's just saying, okay, like I just need that extra fire under my butt. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like, okay, like understand, if you weigh in the left field, why are you gonna stay in left field if you had to come back into the infield? Right? Like that's just my take on that. Like, I don't see anything wrong with walkthroughs and understanding. Like that's why we make these walkthrough videos so people
totally.
can watch them and if they get stuck, see how they skin that cat. You know.
I'm right there with you. I think there is absolutely zero shame in taking a look at a solution or a write up. And it is certainly, hey, your own personal, like your decision tree. Do I want to go look at this or do I want to hold to my, like stick to my guns and keep powering through? Because you can bang your head against the wall for hours. You can bog yourself down. And if that's what you're wanting to do to test your skills, to keep training, totally
Mhm.
cool. You're pushing hard in the gym, you're lifting the strongest weights you can, but if you're in a different mode, if you're in a different mindset, hey, maybe you're not playing on expert veteran mode, but you're playing on beginner baby learning mode. You're here to
Mhm.
learn. Like go look at the write up, go look at the solutions, go learn something new that you absolutely could not have figured out because you never knew the thing.
Exactly.
There's no shame in that.
Exactly. And that's what goes back to my question about the Active Directory stuff not being a sysadmin prior to jumping into cyber, and like vice versa, right? Like
Yeah.
there's positions and there's places that I interviewed, right? That I have interviewed, and it's like, okay, do you understand web application pen testing? Not really. Like, can I bumble through it? Do I know burp? Yeah, I can fumble through it, but I can't probably answer right off the top of my head like I can something maybe on an internal assessment or a Wi-Fi thing that I understand that technology because I did it before I was doing the quote unquote adversarial hack and sack and stuff. Like that's what I come from. But yeah, like so I guess the moral of that story is like if you don't know something, don't feel stupid because you have to go look it up or ask for your community, ask for someone's help or something like that. But
It's learning.
yeah, I guess we can, sum it up. I really appreciate it. We've been at it for about an hour almost, I think, because I think we started at 7, so almost 8 o'clock here. But yeah, I really appreciate it, John, dude. Like I really do, and it's good catching up finally in virtual mode versus just via messenger and stuff like that on the interwebs. But I really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Well, hey man, thank you. The same right back at you. This has been super cool. I think a really good conversation and a lot of good nuggets and golden pieces of insight for folks that might happen to listen in. So, thank you for hey keeping us honest and making sure we get this thing done. But we'll keep in touch, my friend. Until next time.
Likewise. Take care.
Alrighty.
Be good. Ciao.